Hello and welcome back to the Charles Squared podcast. My name is Charlie Mason.
And I'm Charles Iverson. Welcome back, everybody. And I think we would like to start this episode off with a bit of an apology. We are going to get into some fun Wonder Woman stuff, but first, I want to clarify on behalf of me and Charlie that the first few episodes of this podcast have not been of the best quality. Uh, they will get better, though. We have been using a weird system for editing, and I promise this week we'll get better and the future episodes will be better. But now let's get into some Wonder Woman 1984 stuff.
I mean, this was one of my favorite movies of 2020. And I mean, there weren't that many movies released in 2020. I'm probably going to mark it as my number one anyways, just because I liked it so much. A lot of nasty reviews, though. I didn't read any of them going in. I heard that the reviews were bad, and I looked away and I wanted to see it for myself, and it held up to the standard. It held up to my standards.
Yeah, I did look at
It held up to my standards.
yeah, you know, I did look at the Rotten Tomatoes score before I watched it. I think it was at 60% before I watched it. So, I knew it wouldn't be as good as the first one, and when I watched it, I didn't think it was as good as the first one. I thought during the first half, oh yeah, this is not a good movie, but I felt like it really redeemed itself during the second half. Like, I was pleasantly surprised by how good it was. It's just the pacing in the first half wasn't that great. But
Oh man, I'm going to have to disagree with you.
really,
I would like to flip-flop that. I thought the beginning scene seemed maybe a little unnecessary, but
yeah.
I love seeing her culture.
Oh yeah,
I
that is
like
a cool
seeing
aspect.
that because there's not a lot of background. I mean, we do see a lot of in the first movie there is a lot, but her childhood is kind of taken away from the viewer. We don't really know. And I think that just that little scene, that 10-minute scene in the beginning really set the tone for the rest of the movie. Because some of the same lessons that she learned kind of shadowed the whole film, and I thought that was just really important to her development as a character. So
Yeah, that is true. Tonally, it definitely, I mean, not tonally, but it set the stage for the message of the film.
yeah,
It's just for me, it felt a little awkward going from that into the 80s
I
in
don't know.
America.
I loved that opening scene of the '80s.
Oh
That was
yeah, I
just
love
a
that scene too.
beautiful montage. Seeing Diana in the '80s was really cool.
Yeah, I just think the
Meeting a
film should
lot
have
of new
started with that.
character. Yeah, maybe. But meeting a lot of the new characters was really fun. And I think I want to with Maxwell Lord. I
Yes.
mean, the Mandalorian.
Yeah, he was so great in this movie. Like he was my favorite part of the movie. That's why I loved the second half so much, like compared to the first half. Because they develop him so well. Like, I mean, I don't know. I especially love the end after he renounces his wish. Like, there's not really a big fight between him and Wonder Woman. Like, he renounces
Yeah.
his wish, then he immediately goes, finds his son, he gives him a big hug. And I love that they don't show him getting arrested or anything, because at least for me, I was rooting for him, I wanted him to go back to his son and have a good life.
Yeah.
Realistically, he probably would have gotten arrested, but I
Yeah.
like that they left it open ended so that, probably would have gotten arrested, but I
Yeah.
like that they left it open ended so that, I could think, yeah, he had a good life with his son.
Yeah, and just before we explore some of the other new characters that were introduced in this film, I want to talk about the setting, the plot that this film brought to us. I feel like it explored three different main characters, and it kind of developed them all in different ways. But I feel like Diana, out of the three main characters, got like the least amount of screen time. Maybe she got more than I thought, but I
Yeah.
felt like Maxwell Lord was the main character of this movie.
I felt the same way. Like as I was watching it, they cut to him so much, like more than they would usually cut to a villain. And I liked that because, that's how they developed him, and that's why I think he's probably superhero villains. However, at the same time, yeah, it really did feel like he was the star of the movie.
I will say though, that ending scene wasn't satisfying for me. When he saw his son, I wasn't really happy with that just because we saw his son two or three times leading up to that.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true. I'm
But I
Yeah.
feel like his true passion, his true goal was to be known, be popular, be the best in the oil business. And once he succeeded in that, I figured he was just going to go back to the simple life. Or not the simple life, but going back to the position he was in a week before all of this started, a couple days before all of this started. Struggling but determined. And instead, he kind of just became a family man, which is still a good thing. I'm happy with it. But I feel like if they were going to develop the father son relationship, they should have, like, if they were going to end it that way, I feel like they should have developed it a little better in the beginning. That's just my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what did it for me is like when you see him, Maxwell Lord, when you see him like at that podium and everyone's making their wishes, and you just hear Alistair crying, "Daddy, Daddy, where are you? Come back!" And that just made me like, oh, he needs to go back to his son. Like I don't know. That
Yeah.
just, yeah, that really made me
No,
feel
I
something.
agree with you. Yeah, that was very important. I just wish that they showed some of the good times that
You're right.
Alistair and Maxwell had before, so we could get a look at what their relationship was, because it seemed like the
Yeah,
relationship at the moment was broken already.
you're
So it
right.
wouldn't have made much
Yeah.
sense for him to go to his son. I mean, it's his son,
Yeah, I mean,
but I
yeah,
feel like
you're
they could have
right.
done better there.
They didn't show enough of the good stuff. I do think
Yeah.
you're right about that.
All right. Moving on. Our second character out of the three main, Diana, Maxwell Lord, and Barbara Minerva, the cheetah. Charles, you want to start us off with her?
Yeah, sure. Um, so at the beginning of the movie, or towards the beginning of the movie, when we're introduced to her, she's the most awkward character in this movie. I mean, like it literally made me cringe the first scene she's in when she drops her papers and then like those people walk right past her without doing anything and she just has the most awkward dialogue. I mean, I guess way to go to the writers for just making that scene as awkward as possible. And then she just becomes this fierce, cold warrior who doesn't care about anything by the end of the movie. And what's crazy is that doesn't really even change when everyone's renouncing their wish. I don't know if you noticed, but I certainly did. She didn't renounce hers. Like she's still that way at the end.
I was actually going to mention that she had some of the best. I think she had, in my opinion, better character development than Pedro Pascal did as Maxwell Lord. But I feel like Maxwell Lord's ending completely 10 times better
For sure.
than Cheetah's, because her while her the build of her character in the beginning was so good, it was so vital. We saw her break piece by piece, getting more confident after she
Yeah,
started realizing that her wish, Maxwell Lord's wish, kind of came like with a snap of his fingers.
that's
It
true.
kicked in immediately. I feel like hers kind of settled in, right? Like she got comfortable with it. She got used to it. She started using her new power. And
Right.
eventually, I think the breaking point, the whole shift in the plot, in her character, I think the small little shift was when that guy started hitting on her again. That homeless
Yeah,
guy.
I
And
definitely agree with that.
she beat him up, but I think the real moment, not it wasn't her beating up the guy that was trying to assault her. I think it was the moment with the homeless man she used to help. That little scene, that little clip afterwards,
Oh,
right when
yeah.
she
Like,
sees him and
mind
she
your
says,
business.
"Don't, yeah, mind your own business."
Yeah.
I think that scene when she sees him and they come face to face for the first time since she's made her wish, I think her seeing him and realizing who she's become propels her further into the darkness. I don't know why, but Kristen Wiig did a great job with this character. And
She really did.
the way that it ended, I'm not sure she's done yet.
Yeah,
I'm not sure she's done yet.
yeah. I definitely want to get into that more when we talk about predictions at the end. But I definitely have a theory about that.
I'm excited to hear it.
Okay, so now should we move on to we talked about Maxwell Lord and Barbara Minerva. I think we I think it's only right we talk about Diana's character development throughout the movie, right?
Yep.
So I'd say you definitely brought up a good point when you said Maxwell Lord and Barbara Minerva have better character development than Diana, but I do think there is an important lesson that she learns, and I think it all really comes back to Steve's return. I mean, this movie leaned a lot more on Steve Trevor than I thought it would. Like even from the
Yeah,
very
he
beginning.
was seemed to be the crutch that Diana needed to get through this whole film.
Yeah, because I mean, it's crazy. Like I don't know how many years it's been, but it's been like decades at this point since she last saw him, and she's still clinging to him. I mean, that's crazy. She clearly didn't have a good goodbye with him, and I think she got that opportunity with this movie. Even though the Dreamstone was kind of a bad thing, I think it gave her the closure she needed with him.
Yeah, I mean, you took it right where I wanted to go. Um, I think it was a perfect close to their story. They opened it in, the first Wonder Woman. They closed it in Wonder Woman 1984. I'm so upset that he died in the first film because I think him being alive, obviously, I don't know if he would have lived to the 1980s because it was
Yeah.
already, what was it, the 40s then?
No, no, this was World War.
Yeah, so it was very early. Yeah, so he probably wouldn't have been around. But I think
Maybe
that
not.
him coming back in a different character was just the best way to bring his character back without like raising any questions.
I gotta disagree with you there, actually. Um,
Really?
I do, because here's the thing: bringing him back with the Dreamstone, like just as himself, that would have been perfectly fine. Because everyone else's wish just literally came true. Diana's wish for Steve to return. Why in the world does that make him come back in someone else's body? Like the whole time, I was just thinking, what the heck is this guy just missing like a week of his life? Like, I mean, that's crazy. What were they thinking? Like, why couldn't he just come back in his own body? I mean, that's got to be my biggest critique with this movie, honestly. Like, more than the picking his own body. I mean, that's got to be my biggest critique with this movie, honestly. Like, more than the pacing in the beginning.
Really? I mean,
Yeah.
I thought it was, I guess the Dreamstone gave them a lot of freedom to do whatever they wanted. I just thought it was an interesting concept that the guy that Steve took over for that week played a role at the end of this film
Oh,
when we
yeah.
saw
Okay,
Diana
that was
talking to
cool.
him at the park. Because
Right.
maybe that's who she falls in love with next. Maybe that's what they were building on. Maybe Steve came back in his body. Maybe the stone. Maybe she wished for her true love. She didn't say her wish out loud. She just said, "I know what I would wish for."
Okay, I really like that a lot now. Okay, I can now get behind this. That's pretty cool. Wow, you actually just blew my mind because I think you might be onto something with that.
I think that I because she never said it out loud, we'll never know exactly what she wished for unless they
Yeah, that's a
release it
really cool idea.
in. It's possible that this is obviously a love story, um, on multiple counts, but it's possible that she wished for true love. Steve came back in the form of her new true love and showed her the closure she needed to move on.
That's cool. That's really cool. Oh my gosh.
That's just how I took it. That's how I saw it.
I mean, that's great. Like, I'm sorry, I just can't get past that. That's amazing.
So I think that's one of the lessons that Diana learns in this movie. She learns in the beginning we see her develop that patience And I think that kind of applies to her and Steve's relationship. She was patient from the moment he died and knew somehow she would see him again. And her wish came true. She was patient in her powers. The Dreamstone weakened her, correct? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, that was what it took away
What
from her.
did that's okay, that's what it was, yeah. And she was able to overcome that. She got the closure with Steve that she needed to move on, and she saved the day. What more can you do?
Yeah. Okay, so
Who?
now I think we'd like to move on to a pretty big bombshell that this movie dropped that I do have to admit I didn't understand at first. Me and Charlie actually already talked about this. He didn't understand it either, I don't think.
No idea. I had no idea.
Yeah, but Linda Carter, who played Wonder Woman in the original TV show, is back and she's playing a character called Asteria in this movie.
Who? I watched that part. Who? I watched that part. And I was like, "Oh, maybe it's like another Amazon, right?"
Right, yeah.
Boy, was I wrong.
No,
My
she is
dad was
another
like,
Amazon.
No. But I thought from the same
Oh, right,
timeline
right.
as Diana. And I was like, oh man, that was so cool, Dad. And he was like, yeah, that was awesome. And I was like, wait, you thought it was awesome? Why? And he was like, that's Linda Carter, man.
Yeah,
Like,
my
who?
parents had to explain it to me too.
So we see, I'm just going to read a quick description of it just for viewers who maybe didn't watch it all the way through in the theaters. Maybe they missed this because I bet you a lot
Oh,
of people did.
yeah, because it was in the middle of the credits.
So in this scene, we see a woman walking through like an outdoor market, and this pole, this large wooden pole, starts to fall, and casually catches the pole with one hand and saves a family with a tiny child who's gonna get hit with the pole. And she turns around, and it's Asteria, who played Wonder Woman in the 1970s TV series, which
Yeah,
was pretty big because Diana gave backstory on her earlier.
yeah.
That's another. Before we move on, I think that's another important reason why they included that opening scene way
Oh,
back in
right.
ancient times. It showed the gold armor. It kind of told a little bit of a serious story. It showed it foreshadowed a lot of the lessons Diana would be challenged with and learning in this movie. But I did not think that it was going to come. I was not aware of that, and I thought it was
No,
when
I
I put it
didn't
together.
either.
I thought it was pretty cool when I put it all together.
Yeah. Do you mind if we move on to predictions now? Because that's actually a pretty good segue to a
No,
prediction I have.
definitely, yeah. Take it away.
Okay, so we see Asteria in the post-credit scene, played by Linda Carter,
Right.
and then Asteria in this movie, they explain, was the original wearer of the golden armor we see Diana wearing in this movie. Now, I don't know about you, but I thought the golden armor was kind of pointless. It seemed like when they explained just hear me out, hear me out.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think when Diana explained the golden armor to Steve during that one scene, I was like, this just feels so out of place. Like, this just seems like pointless exposition. It didn't feel natural. And I think like pointless exposition, it didn't feel natural. And I think it's because that wasn't necessarily for this movie. It was because it was setting up a future movie to explain who Asteria is so that we could have a Wonder Woman 3 featuring two Wonder Women, Asteria and Diana. But, that is not the end of the theory. This is where Barbara Minerva comes in because they can't call it Wonder Woman times two or something like that because that would make it seem like, it's the second movie, but this was the second movie. No, they're going to call it Wonder Woman times three. We're going to have three Wonder Women: Asteria, Diana and Barbara. I mean, Barbara is still, you know, probably a little bit cold because she didn't renounce her wish. But I think they purposefully didn't have her renounce her wish so that she could still have powers and she could be fighting alongside Wonder Woman and Asteria in the third movie.
That's actually a really good theory. That's really good.
Yeah. Thanks.
Wonder Woman times 3.
I mean, maybe it won't be
2024.
exactly that. I mean, I was kind of actually just joking about that, but I mean,
I mean,
who knows?
hey, you never know. That's actually no, but that's like a good theory. I feel like in some way like Minerva is going to make a comeback. We're going to see Kristen Wiig again in the DC universe for sure.
Yeah, probably. I mean, she
Well,
didn't
I mean, it
renounce her
hasn't been
wish. They
confirmed.
must like
Exactly.
they put the
that
camera
final
on
scene
her, but she didn't renounce her wish. Like, they
was
did
it
that
her
for-
looking at the sun at like the sunset?
Yeah, it was something like that. I mean,
Maybe that was symbolic. Man, I'm gonna have to rewatch that clip and get back to you guys. But yeah, I really thought that's like a good theory.
Yeah, thanks.
I think I'm gonna share a theory. It's not gonna be good.
that's okay.
I'm kind of gonna spitball. So I believe that in the next Wonder Woman movie, maybe not even in the next Wonder Woman movie, we're not sure what DC superhero movie is gonna, be released next besides the Suicide Squad. But I feel like Diana is going to get mentored from Linda Carter. And I feel like that's an easy concept to pick up on. But I feel like Linda Carter is going to have to sacrifice herself at the end of the movie. Here I go again. But I feel like it's kind of going to be like a Luke Ray relationship. If you understand what I'm trying to
Do you
trying
mean
to say.
like
In the sense
Asteria
that
is kinda being-
he's
sorry, go ahead.
no, you go.
Well, I
You
was
go.
just
wanna
wondering,
see.
did you mean like Asteria is going to be like kind of reluctant to train Diana?
No. I just meant in the sense that in The Last Jedi, Luke kind of sacrifices himself to help Rey and the
Oh.
rebellion.
Yeah.
He mentors her. She's gonna mentor Diana. Kind of that. It's not like a big plot prediction because I honestly have no idea where the story's gonna go from here.
No, I think
You
you're
made
right.
you made a
though.
very
I think
you
that
made a very good prediction.
I think
but
that Diana will have a lot to learn from Asteria.
yeah. And that's just I feel like it's gonna be the legacy of the gold armor. So we'll see.
Yeah, maybe we'll see more of that in the next movie. Although,
Put it back together. Yeah. So that was Wonder Woman 1984. My favorite film of 2020.
yeah, I'd say, let's see. I don't know. I'm trying to recall the movies I've seen in 2020. I don't know. It's probably up there because there haven't been very many. Yeah. I don't have anything
Yeah.
else to say. I mean, like, subscribe. We're on Spotify, YouTube, anywhere you can watch podcasts.
Apple Podcasts,
Yep.
Google Podcasts. Yeah, so keep listening. And if you've made it this far, thank you. As Charles said, like, subscribe, and stay tuned because we've got some interesting YouTube-only exclusive material coming out soon. And we're going to be working on more podcasts for you guys with different topics. We've got WandaVision releasing in 8 days. You guys with different topics. We've got WandaVision releasing in 8 days.
Wait, what day is today?
It's the 15th.
Oh,
the
yeah, it
15th.
comes
It's the
out the
7th today.
15th.
8
Yeah.
days. So we're going to be giving you guys some awesome content in the next coming weeks and months, hopefully. So stay tuned and